Alright, moving on to selection and anchor displays. The tolerance is how far away you can be to click on something and still have it recognize that you wanted to click on that thing. Snap to point is similar. Whenever you're dragging like an anchor point to another anchor point, how far away should it be before it snaps to it? And these both, you can only set them up to 8px. That's the highest it'll go. So, object selection by path only. If you have a square and you have this checked, you will have to click on the outline of the square instead of, or the outside path of the square, instead of clicking the object itself. So you probably don't want to select that. Command click to select objects behind. That can be useful whenever you've got layers of objects. So might want to leave that. And anchor point and handle display. If you don't like the way it looks, check to see if one of these would suit your needs better. Okay. Type. Most of these you're probably not going to want to change, even if you like a different tracking or something like that by default. I'm going to show you later on in the course how to have your template so that all of your font preferences are easily saved. Okay, moving on to units. Now, we talked before about setting what unit you're going to use, but an interesting thing is you can set the stroke to be that unit too, and that's very useful for those of us who like to work in pixels and like pixels for everything. So you might want to change that. Alright, type. Usually want to use that as points, but you can change it if you'd like. Guides and grids. You can change the color of the guides, and you can do dots instead of lines. How fun is that? Also, for grids, you can change the color of the grid here, and you can also change it to dots. And you can change how often the grids appear, and subdivisions. And whenever you're using grids, if you zoom in far enough, you'll see a pixel grid. If you don't want to see that pixel grid, you can just deselect that. Okay, smart guides. Now, these are very useful, and if you look under the resources for this section, these are fully explained. But a few that you want to know, construction guides. These are not on by default, but they're pretty cool because if, say, you were to drag a line from the corner, you could have it snap to 45-degree angles, which it will not do by default. And you can also change this angle to whatever you want if you are working with a different angle in your guide. Okay, slices. This just sets the color of your slices. Most of us are used to red, so we're probably not going to want to mess with that. Dictionary, if you want to add words to the dictionary, that's how you do it. Plugins. If you want to keep your plugins in a different folder from Adobe's default plugin folder, you can specify that folder here. Also, where Illustrator saves things like your clipboard, stuff like that, you can set which disk to use. If you're experiencing performance issues on your disk, you can select a different one. I don't recommend you use an external hard drive. User interface. Now this will change the whole shebang. Change how everything in Illustrator looks. I kind of like the medium dark, but if you're feeling like Darth Vader, you can set that. Or you can put it to light if you so fancy. And you can also set exactly the percentage here. I'm going to change it back before I lose my mind. Okay, the canvas color. That's in between your artboards. Command-Shift-D. You'll see this matches the feel. If we were to go back and change that to white, you'll see it's white. But it usually works best to leave that as it is. Auto claps the panels. So if you have, say, your brushes panel out and you were to click elsewhere on the document, the brushes panel would collapse if you click that option. Okay, file handling and clipboard. Generally, don't worry about this at all. Appearance of black. Now, CMYK black is this right here, and rich black is this right here. Generally, you're going to want rich black for everything. And the reason is if you move the black into a different program or do anything with it, it's going to look like a gray. And if you copy and paste it into Photoshop, it's going to show you it's not true black. So you want to work in RGB and you want to keep these as rich black if you want to preserve your pure black. Alright, well that's about all you need to know for preferences. If you want to save your preferences, it'll automatically save them for you, so the next time you open, it'll have these there. If you want to delete your preferences, there's a file path and to the file, and then you just delete it, and the next time you open up Illustrator, it'll create a new preferences file that's completely blank. Look under the resources in this section for the path to that file. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned.